don't think Buffalo Bills fans deserve to complain about this. They voted against changes like this in overtime, not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 times in the past decade. Let me read it to you.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Dorm Debate Podcast. Folks, we have just witnessed one of the greatest NFL weekends ever, point blank. And we may have seen the greatest game ever in the Bills-Chiefs game. Does anyone disagree? Because I am still hype from all 4 games. That Bucs-Rams game just flowed right into the Chiefs and Bills game. And I was like, bro, I need a break. Like, I'm winded right now.
Yeah, I think it was the best day. I think that Sunday with the Bucs-Rams and then the Bills-Chiefs. I think that was the best day of football that I've ever seen.
Like, the 3 walk-off kicks and a walk-off touchdown in overtime. Like,
I mean, the NFL couldn't have planned it any better.
The script writers are just incredible this year.
They did great.
Yeah, I'd agree with that statement. Like, definitely best week because we had some. I think we've had some good playoff games, and I think the rules have made it so much easier for fun games to happen because it favors it just seems to protect quarterbacks more, so you're able to see the best in the playoffs, right. And then you also see more passing just as the nature of the game. And so I think the rules, in some senses, are in a balanced way for the offenses to go. Shootouts are what makes it fun, at least for most fans,
Right.
So so it was crazy. I think 3 of the 4 games ended in field goals and things like that. The other one, overtime.
And not to mention the 3 teams that went on field goals were all road teams. And it was
that was crazy.
And you just knew after the 3 games that Bills Chiefs one was like, oh, you're just gonna sit back and watch this. It was like you knew it was gonna be a shootout.
The freezing. If you guys know freezing cold takes on Twitter, they take people's cold takes that were hot takes at the time, and so they posted one that was like a parody of itself. I think where they just took a screenshot of the NFL tweeting about the Rams Bucs game being the best one ever, and then the freezing take came the next day after the Bill Chiefs game, and that's freezing because it's been a day, but that's how intense it was because it's I mean, I think a couple weeks ago we were talking about the Raiders Chargers, how that was
the best.
That one was really good too. That one had my heart racing because it was such a ridiculous
scenario.
Yeah.
It's tough because the
Bills, good football.
Bills Chiefs definitely lived up to all the hype, and it probably was better played. I feel like the Chargers Raiders was oh, it's all Chargers to come back and win.
True.
Right.
And overtime, everyone's betting on the tie, and then a timeout happened. It was just a very weird scenario. But this was just straight up some of the best quarterback play you'll ever see by both quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to get into that. We're going to get into the overtime because that has been the talk of the town lately. Everyone's got their opinion on the overtime rules. Should it change? Should it not change? But before that, I want to tell you that you should go rate us over on Spotify and over on Apple Podcasts. Rate us 5 stars. And if you leave a comment, we will read your comment on the podcast. So without further ado, let's get into that first game. It wasn't the first game. It was the last game. The Bills Chiefs. And obviously it was one of the greatest games we've ever seen. Josh Allen. I had a stat and I forgot it, but I think he had 9 passing touchdowns in the postseason. The record was set by Joe Flacco and somebody else at 11 passing touchdowns for the whole postseason. So that was when he played, I think he played 4 games. So in 2 games, Josh Allen had 9 touchdowns, no interceptions. Incredible.
Well, Mahomes is about to beat that record.
I think he will.
He's at 8 right now. So
Jonathan, we gotta give you the respect, right? You were the only one to pick the Chiefs. You held your ground.
I mean, I held my ground.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I want to hear you because you texted us and said that both these quarterbacks or both these teams are legit. So I know you were right. And the Chiefs won, and all credit to you. You stood.
Congratulations, Jonathan.
You said the Chiefs were going to win, and they
won.
won.
from us.
Yeah. But did that game, the competition between Allen and Mahomes, did that change your opinion on the Bills going forward in the next season, possibly?
The Bills definitely impressed me. It was a great game. The offense, I was really shocked by it. I mean, it's basically unstoppable, like John was saying the past few weeks. It's hard to stop him. There's not really an answer, especially with Josh Allen rushing. He's not like fast or anything, but he's huge, 6'5", close to 250. I mean, people don't want to tackle him. I think Tyrann Mathieu tried to tackle him and he got concussion and he left. So it's a dangerous offense. So I do think that the Chiefs, though, I was more impressed by the performance, given that the Bills defense has been number one this season. Okay, the Bills defense is number one, and so honestly, going into that game, I was a little nervous. I was like, maybe this is going to be like a embarrassment for the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. He's going to get exposed, right? But it turns out like Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, they came ready to play. They had a great game plan, and he was spreading the ball around, being patient, and he didn't make much mistakes. I don't think he made any mistakes, actually. And so, yeah, I mean, the Bills definitely impressed me, and I'll definitely consider them going forward. But I don't know if there's going to be an opportunity like this soon for the Bills. I don't know if there's going to be an opportunity where they could basically beat Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs like that. You have to look at other teams in the AFC next year, right? The Patriots are definitely going to improve. Mac Jones is going to be a sophomore, so he's going to have some improvement. So they're going to face a little bit more difficulty in their division, right? And then Joe Burrow, like they're going to face the Chiefs, obviously. So, I think they're going to be there in the next 2 years in terms of going to the AFC Championship and competing against Patrick Mahomes as well. So again, I don't know if this opportunity is going to come again for like the Bills. That's why you have to take advantage of every opportunity you get. Because it was honestly, the way they played, they probably should have won. Okay, the Bills should have won. The Bills had the game won. But I mean, I hate to bring this up, but like Sean McDermott, he lost them the game basically. Sean McDermott lost the Bills the game. The Bills should be going to the AFC Championship, playing in Buffalo this weekend. But Sean McDermott made a huge mistake. You could tell from the press conference he had post game that he knew he made a mistake. They asked him about it, like, Sean, why didn't you scoop the kick with 13 seconds left? Why'd you just kick it, make it a touchback? He was like, yeah, I mean, we talked about it, but I just want to say in general that, yeah, it was just execution. And, yeah, the coaches, we just got to do a little better. But, yeah, I mean, it was a great game. He didn't answer the question directly. He knows he cost him the game, okay? That was I even know that. Like, come on.
Yeah, like, come on. You can't leave it to Mahomes. You have to tell your kicker, I want you to land it at the 10-yard line. And if you can't land it at the 10, I'd rather you land it at the 15 or 20. Just don't go into the end zone, so that the guy has to catch it at like the 15. And he's like, oh, I can't go give myself up here. So he's going to try to get some yards. That takes 5 seconds off the clock. Then Mahomes only has 2 plays. So
exactly. And those two guys, like those two returners, there's usually 2 returners in the back. Everybody else up front is not as good with handling the football. So if you squib it, maybe somebody's going to make a mistake. You have a higher probability of one of those guys making mistakes and taking more time off the clock. There's so much things that can happen if you squib it. That's just the number one thing. You got to squib the kick.
And there was a couple other things. Like, remember that Tyreek Hill returned the punt for like 50 yards?
Yep.
Remember the punt got called back or something. Like the Chiefs, I think there was a penalty the first time they punted, and the Chiefs are like, we want to redo the kick.
Oh, yeah.
Because the Chiefs are like, we have Tyreek Hill. So why don't you tell your punter, I want you to kick this out of bounds. Right. You can't let Tyreek Hill get it.
That's a good point.
It right to Tyreek Hill, and he gets a 50-yard.
Yeah,
like, those are the things. Like, you got lucky the first time that he didn't break it off. So like things like, I think that I wanted the Bills to win, but the better team won. I think the Chiefs deserve to win, even though I don't agree with the overtime rules. I think the Chiefs were the better team.
Yeah, and when it gets that close, that's where coaching comes into play. The smartest guys are able to make the best decisions in those times. Yeah. Okay. That's a common thing, even in high school. We know, don't kick it, don't punt it to their best guy, just punt it out of bounds. Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
They didn't do that. I mean, they paid for that. Again, I don't know if this is going to happen again. I don't know if the Bills will get this opportunity, but the Bills should be in the AFC Championship. Okay. They had the game won. The Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs just executed off of a mistake that Sean McDermott made. So
I think the thing that impressed me the most was when the Chiefs got it back with like a minute 40. They had 3 timeouts, and you're like, okay, they need at least a field goal to tie it or a touchdown to go ahead. And in your mind, you're like, yeah, they're going to at least a field goal because the Bills defense can't do anything. And Tyreek gets like a 60-yard touchdown. And then it goes to Allen on the sideline. And at first he's like in shock. And then he turns around. He's like, no, he's like, we got 3 timeouts. He's like, we got 3 timeouts. We're good. So him to like be so zoned in like that, throw 4 touchdowns over 350 yards, rush for another 68 yards, not throw an interception, not fumble it at all. Like that was impressive. And for him to like be that energetic and be that like locked in.
Yeah,
that was impressive.
That guy, they were both clutch when their teams needed them. It was just each defense kind of, the Bills especially capitulated, like it was more at the end of the game, it felt like, I mean, the Bills did have the better defense on paper. So it didn't, they kind of, it wasn't that they lost it. The squib kick should have been done, right? They gave way too much space underneath, but ultimately, like, Kansas City has such big players that they rely on the big play, and they got those big plays, and the Bills defense could not stop it. Like, they're playing so deep and they're letting Kelsey get under. And you guys saw earlier in the season when he had that picture where it's like he's surrounded by 3 defenders and he's at the 20, and the caption's like, he scored a touchdown off this play. Like, he is known for yards after catch. You're letting him get it in the middle. Normally that is what you do to prevent deep. You don't want you're trying to prevent Hill from getting a huge drop, but he still gets it one anyway. Another way. And then you can't let Kelsey. So it's just, but both Allen and Mahomes were able to have their way with each other's defense, but it was the Bills towards the end that just bled too much, the Bills defense. But it was really cool to watch each quarterback make and convert every throw that they needed to. Like, it was so much fun. But I'm not a fan of the overtime rules either.
Yeah, and I think look, Allen played great. No denying that. Him and Mahomes both played great. But like I said before, Mahomes had the better game. The reason being, I'm sure you guys saw Tyrann Mathieu. He's probably one of their best defensive players. He was injured early in the game. And so they were picking on that backup safety basically the entire game because, they're in cover 2 most of the time. And one of the weaknesses of cover 2 is the middle of the field. That's basics. And so they kept on attacking the middle with Gabriel Davis. I mean, I think he had like 9 catches or something for over 200 yards, 4 touchdowns.
4 touchdowns. It's a playoff record, right?
It's a playoff record. Wow.
I can't believe it.
So, yeah. And so if you look at Josh Allen, most of he had over 325 yards or 329 or something like that. Most of his yards were to Gabriel Davis, but the rest, his second best was Cole Beasley with 60 yards. Okay, so yes, Josh Allen played great, but it was basically a mismatch that, got exposed. So I think, again, he played great, but I think Mahomes had a better game, given that he spread the ball around with Tyreek, Kelsey, Pringle, Hardman. If you look at his stats, it was more like Tyreek Hill had the best game in terms of receiver.
But if you're looking at that, the Bills, Tre'Davious White, their best cornerback, he tore his ACL like a few games ago, like I think a couple months ago. So like the Chiefs had a little advantage there. But at the end of regulation, at the end of the 60 minutes before overtime, Allen had 4 touchdowns and Mahomes only had 2 passing touchdowns. So, and
again, it was to that Gabriel Davis that mismatch exposed them.
Well, then that was good by the Bills because they kept exploiting it. And the Chiefs.
I mean, I think
your opponent's bleeding. You keep hitting.
That's a little fortunate thing that happened for Josh.
Gabriel Davis. Okay, is McCole Hardman better or worse in your eyes than Davis? As a receiver.
I think he's faster, but I don't think he has as good hands.
What's the Madden rating?
I think Davis has the higher than Hardman.
It's fair they exploit it. I mean, every quarterback's gonna, as soon as the secondary is weak, they're gonna hit the backup. They're gonna the next man up. They're gonna test them. That's what you do as a quarterback. So. Yeah.
But, I'm saying Patrick Mahomes.
Tre'Davious White would have been on Tyreek. Not saying that he would have been able to stop him, but I'm just saying.
Well, I'm saying that.
Yeah, but I'm saying Patrick Mahomes. They use all the receivers basically. Like he spread it out pretty good, even though Tyreek Hill had the best game.
There was that
makes him better.
Diggs wasn't.
Yeah, I think that makes him better. He's smarter with the football. I think he had a better game. Okay, in terms of if he went against the number one defense and was able to embarrass them and make them look silly like that, number one defense in the NFL.
Yeah, I agree with that, but
I don't know if either defense looked silly. They were just both. I mean, both offenses were just so overpowered. It's like they.
The Chiefs' defense hasn't been great this season, so it was kind of expected.
But
the Chiefs' defense at home has been really good, though.
No,
less than 20 points against per game.
To week 5 or 9 that they were like historically bad, and then they really were able to turn it around. It's a testament to coaching there, like how they were able to, like the way they were playing, it just looked like it was going to be a lost season, and the fact that they're here again is pretty crazy.
Let's talk about overtime, because obviously that's the reason the Chiefs won, is because they won the coin toss and they just marched right down the field, score, touchdown to Travis Kelce, game over. Allen doesn't see the ball in overtime, which in my personal opinion is just a travesty that that show ends without Allen even getting a shot. And I understand, the Bills should have just stopped them. But
number one defense.
But if it was the Chiefs that went out, it's, John and I talked about this a lot. That coin toss decided the winner, because if the Chiefs defense went out there and it was Josh Allen, they would have drove down and scored. And about 4 years ago, Patriots and Chiefs, Patriots win the coin toss, they drive down, score. And then you look at the past 11 games that have been in overtime since the new rule change. 10 of the last 11 have won the game off the coin toss. Whoever wins the coin toss wins the game. There's obviously significant advantage to putting your offense out there. And it's because it's an offensive driven game. It's not, these great defenses going at it. It's all offense. So why not have a chance to put both of the offenses on the field during an overtime to decide a playoff game? You're only putting out half your team. So in my opinion, the rules need to change. I don't think they will for a while, because, there's a lot of things that go into it. John and I, we were talking about, the NFL wants something to where it wraps the game up quick, but the players want a fair chance. And so there's this battle right now of like, we want to make the game as fair as possible, but also we have a show that's coming on in about 10 minutes.
We got money obligations.
You got money obligations. And so, people say maybe change to college, but college this year changed it. And they made us, you have to go do 2-point conversions after the fourth overtime. And they had Penn State, Illinois going to 10 overtimes. So that can't fly in the NFL. I like college overtime better, but it just can't fly in the NFL. And there has to be some sort of switch. But in my personal opinion, a game to end like that, where both offenses are just going back and forth and back and forth, you want to see who flinches first. And Josh Allen didn't even get a chance to flinch. There wasn't even. I want to see Josh Allen fail, or I want to see Patrick Mahomes fail and be like, oh, Josh Allen, he kept it going for longer. He had more touchdowns, blah, blah, blah. And we didn't even get a shot. And that's what sucks the most. And I don't know. I want to hear what you guys think. Jonathan requested to go last on this. So John, if you want to start.
Yeah, I'll gladly go first. I mean, the counter argument to people being like, so a lot of people that want the rule to stay the same are saying that basically by you wanting both quarterbacks and offensive to get possessions, you're saying that offense is more important than defense. But this is a team game where all three phases matter. And my opinion is that the rules need to change, because it's clear that throughout the last 5 years, the NFL is changing the rules in the NFL to be more offensive driven. So if you're going to do that, you're recognizing that offense is how to get more views, how to get more money for you and whatever. So change the overtime rule so that the better quarterback can win the game. And for me, there's really only two solutions to this. There's two ways you can go. So you can do this. Scenario one is that whoever wins the coin toss, it doesn't even matter. But let's say the Chiefs get the ball first. They go down, they get a touchdown. Now the Bills get the ball, and if they have a chance to either get the same or beat it, match or beat what the Chiefs got. So let's say the Bills go down and get a touchdown and the extra point. So now each team has got one possession. They both scored a touchdown. Now the Bills will kick it off to the Chiefs, and basically the next score will win the game. And now you might be like, well, then that's not fair because the Chiefs have the ball. But then what the Bills could have done is gone for 2. If they didn't think their defense was going to be able to hold the Chiefs from even getting a field goal on that third drive or the Chiefs' second drive of overtime, then you should have went for 2. Your offense should have went for 2. So yeah, the coin toss, I think the team that won the coin toss would still have a little bit of an advantage, but it wouldn't be 10 out of 11. It wouldn't be like over 90% chance that you would win. Now, that's scenario 1. And the reason, like Jared said, is that you need to have a finite ending to the game. You can't have this thing going on for hours. The NFL wants to know that, okay, this thing is going to end within the next hour, like max. So here's the next thing. The second scenario is that you do a coin toss, doesn't matter who wins it. And the first team to get the ball has to go down and get a field goal or a touchdown. If they don't get a field goal or a touchdown, the other team wins. So basically, if you have fourth and 5 on your own 40, you're going to have to go for it. So if you don't get any points, you lose. Now, which benefits the defense a little bit because you get to, make a big play or something. But chances are the Chiefs would have went down. Let's say the Chiefs get a touchdown. And let's say it took the Chiefs 5 minutes. Now, the Chiefs would kick the ball to the Bills, and you put 5 minutes on the clock. You say, Bills, you have 5 minutes to get a touchdown. If you can't get it in 5 minutes, you didn't do it as well as the Chiefs did it. So you don't deserve to win. So, or if the Chiefs go down and get a field goal and the field goal took 2 minutes and 45 seconds, now, okay, you put 2 minutes, 45 seconds on the clock. Bills, you have to either get a field goal or a touchdown within 2 minutes, or you can get a touchdown anytime past 2 minutes and 45 seconds. But if you get a field goal within 2 minutes and 45 seconds, then it goes on to sudden death. So then you would kick the ball back to the Chiefs, and then if the Chiefs get points, they would win. So those are the only 2. I think those are the 2 best scenarios that I could think of. That there is a finite ending, and both quarterbacks will get the chance to possess the ball.
Yeah, I've ranted about this before, and I'm gonna go in again because you mentioned this happened in 2019, and I think you can go back in the podcast and find it. But like I felt like in the Patriots-Chiefs game in 2019 when that happened, whoever won that game would go to the Super Bowl. So Patriots win the toss. You don't get to see Mahomes play against Brady anymore. Brady scores, touchdown, game over. And they go on to the Super Bowl. They get another ring, Now in hindsight that we've seen, like the stat that you said, Jared, that just to reiterate, this is from Ian Rappaport, NFL, the research, the stats, ever since this specific overtime rule has been in place, there have been 11 overtime playoff games. Teams that won the overtime coin toss have a record of 10-1 in those games, which is a 90.9% win rate. Meaning, if your team wins the coin toss, you have a 90.9% chance of winning, which in the playoffs is crazy. Now, the other stat that I skipped over in that same tweet that Rappaport brought up was that in regular season, under the current overtime rules, there have been 163 overtime games. This includes the playoffs, and it's gone 86 wins, 67 losses, and 10 games just ended in a tie for the teams that won the overtime coin toss. Basically, what I'm saying is that for the regular season overtime rules, the way they are, it's about a 52.8% chance of winning the game if you win the coin toss. Okay, so in regular season, there's a huge why is there a huge discrepancy between regular season and postseason? Because I would say, even as someone who hates the overtime rules, even in the regular season, if the statistics are saying it's 50-50, as close as, never going to be perfect, but 52%, that's, we determine the start of the game based off a coin toss, right? Whether you receive it or whether you kick it. And we've argued before too, how some teams always defer. Like some of the statistics say if you defer, that gives you a chance in the second half. So from the beginning of the game, you get to see both sides of the ball play, and from the beginning of the game, the coin is tossed, and that kind of gives you a starting edge a little bit. So in the regular season, that happened. Now, what I think I mentioned Brett Coleman. He's a football analyst he's a great YouTube channel dissecting stuff. But he said, like, so he kind of addressed, in his opinion, why the playoff discrepancy is 40% better if you win the coin toss. And I think you guys would know is that the quality of quarterback, the quality of play, these are the best of the best. And because it's kind of intrinsic, it favors the offense, like you mentioned, John. These teams are so much execution that even in almost any sport or modern combat, if you're playing defense, you're always reacting to what the offense does. Not always, but you're more of a reactionary force if you're playing defensively. And that advantage is wildly exploded in football because those teams that are in the playoffs generally are the cream of the crop and they're able to execute like crazy. So clearly, even if you disagree with the rule, that 90% chance is ridiculous because basically it's a way of saying that coin toss in the Chiefs Patriots game led to the team winning the Super Bowl, basically. And it was a 90% chance. It was just heads or tails, and that's not the game of football. I don't know exactly what the solution is. The two problems I see with getting rid of it, and I talked about this before, is one, I mean, these rules aren't divine. Like, we came up with them as humans. Not everything that the NFL has as a rule is like, this can be changed. It's, we don't have to be loyal to it if it's a bad idea. And I think it mainly comes from the need for money. You do have other shows and other slots. Like, it becomes a problem, to be reliable. You don't want people staying up too late. You can't let the game go on forever. It is a business to an extent. But even Andy Reid, after the Chiefs lost that game in overtime without ever getting to see Mahomes play again, petitioned the NFL to vote on it. I think only the Cowboys voted with the Chiefs. But I don't even know if they voted on it, but or it was like just never brought to a vote or something like that. But basically, the Chiefs were like, "Hey, we should look into this, change it." And even with now that they're on the other side of it and having won, even Reid was saying like, "Yeah, we're happy with the results." But even then, I have to ask, kind of in the air, is this good for the game, like for the game of football? So it's like, yeah, it's a business, but what makes that business valuable is the commitment to the core values of making great football. So even when games end in a kneel, like, yeah, I'll be happy if it's the Eagles, but I think if it goes to overtime, it better end with a field goal or a player getting the end zone for some way, And so some ideas floated around. It's like, maybe don't change it in the regular season because statistically it's pretty good. Maybe in playoffs, I saw one article saying that, say you get the ball first and you score a field goal in 8 plays, or you get a touchdown in 11 plays, whatever, then the other team gets the ball back and they have to get a score as fast or as much or faster than the other team did. So then it becomes a bit of a race. I'm thinking like maybe the 40-second runoff, like just making teams have to hurry up essentially, because you're in overtime. So maybe things that manipulate the time, so it's less time management in overtime and more like hustle, who can outrun the last guy, second wind, something like that. Because I just don't think it's good football. Like Andy Reid mentioned, like, is it good for the game? I don't think it really is. I saw it's not a perfect analogy, but on Twitter, someone was like, imagine if in baseball it's 5-5 and they go into the 10th, and if the other team scores, it's over right away. Like, that's the similar logic. Now, baseball is different because if you're defense, you just zero, you can't score off a defensive play. But then if you're saying both sides of the ball do play, yeah. But then what are the chances? So if in baseball they have a 0% chance, how many plays from defensively do you get pick sixes or fumble returns for touchdowns? Like, how often do you score if you're defense? And I know a turnover would be that, but it's like it's not comparable. And especially because the game of football is really, we talk about Allen versus Mahomes. It's really 3 teams: defense, offense, and special teams. We saw special teams kind of wreck the Packers' opportunity, So you're really playing 3 different teams of guys. So for the start of the game to start with a coin toss and you get to see both sides, to then start of overtime only seeing one potentially, like the rules allowing that to happen is kind of silly. So I don't know exactly what the solution is. I think there's a way that you can help the business succeed and still have a good overtime, like something that doesn't leave the opposing quarterback just on the bench once he's scored with less than a minute left, and the other guy just gets, Mahomes I think scored something like 200. He got 200 yards in like under 2 minutes for the fourth quarter, something like that.
Yeah.
Ran it up the field 75 yards in 13 seconds. Like, it's crazy what he was able to do. But like he was literally on the other side of it at one point, and I was mad when it was Brady winning. I was mad when it was Mahomes losing, and it's the same other way around. Like, I'm mad that Allen didn't get a chance just because for the game of football, I think it's silly. So, Jonathan, you wanted to go last. I'm curious. I think you want this.
Yeah, those are good, very good points by you guys.
Thank you.
But first things first, I want to bring this up. I would propose, how about, you sort of know which side, is getting the ball first heading into the playoffs. Like, whatever, like offense or defense, who's ever ranked highest heading into the playoffs, you probably know ahead, hey, this side's going to get an opportunity.
So the Chiefs would get home field advantage, and because they're the higher seed, they would get the ball first.
More like their offense is better than their defense, so their offense would start out there. But for Bills, their Bills defense is number one in pass rank in terms of everything.
Yeah, but what if
we right now on Sunday we saw the best sides clashing each other in the overtime? That's how it should be. They're their number one defense. Okay, Patrick Mahomes in the offense, they're better than their defense. Yeah, so that was a perfect scenario.
What if there's a game that the opposite is true? What if there's a game that the Bills defense isn't playing good, but their offense is much better than their defense that day? Then you just say, oh, that sucks because you just have to be better.
Yeah, I mean, that's just an idea. But I'm saying in this specific case, though, we saw it was how it should have been this game, I think, because the Bills defense has been good all season. Then all of a sudden, Patrick Mahomes exposes them, and now they want to back away and say, "Oh, give Josh Allen a chance." I don't think. This game.
No, but what if Allen got the ball first and scored? Then people would be like, "Well, yeah, the Chiefs' defense isn't great, but it's been pretty good at home over the last 5 weeks." So yeah, that just like why aren't you for getting 3 possessions? Like I said, if the Chiefs get a touchdown to Kelsey, the Allen can go down and get a touchdown. And if he gets a touchdown, he could either go for 2 to win it or just go for the field goal and put it on his defense and then next point wins with field goal, whatever. What's the downside to that?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think this is better because this is the NFL. You want something like this.
I like
Jonathan's one shot. There's only one shot to make something like this happen.
Yeah,
so that's just the initial thought.
What about the Brady and Mahomes 3 years ago?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So people are complaining now, but that's what happened.
People complained back then.
Yeah,
I know people
not as much as now. Now I feel like I don't know why.
No, they're complaining a lot now.
It was garbage back then. Yeah, it was a thing back then. It's just now it was like so many good games. It's been bottling up, man. I mean,
yeah, that's what I texted in the group chat. I was like, how many more times does this have to happen? It's already 10 out of 11.
Oh, if you want,
what number do we get to where we're like, okay, we have to change it? Is it 40 out of 41? Is
it
like what number?
Chance, then it's
that brings me to my next.
A little skewed.
Okay. Yeah, I'm saying that brings me to my next point. I don't think Buffalo Bills fans deserve to complain about this, especially them, because let me tell you why. They voted against changes like this in overtime, not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 times in the past decade. Let me read it to you. Wow. 2010, the Bills were one of the 4 teams who voted against having the overtime changed to a sudden death touchdown. If they had their way, the Chiefs would have only needed a field goal to beat them on the opening drive. That was in 2010, okay? 2019, when the Chiefs, lost in the AFC Championship, they submitted a proposal to modify overtime so both teams would get a possession. The Bills were one of the teams that voted against it. 2021, the Ravens and Eagles submitted a joint proposal for a wild new overtime system called Spot and Choose, which would have turned overtime into a fun gamble possession versus field positioning. After that didn't pass, again, the Bills did not support it. Then Ravens submitted a separate proposal for a 7:30 overtime with no sudden death. This was also voted down by the Bills. So, they're complaining now and whining. Y'all voted 4 times against rule changes.
Well, maybe they didn't. Maybe
all of a sudden, rules are against you.
Maybe they didn't like those proposals. Maybe they just didn't. So maybe they're going to make their own proposal this year.
Yeah, I mean, they're part of the problem. They're part of the reason why stuff like this doesn't pass because people like them.
That's a good one.
Good.
I have a lot of Buffalo Bills friends, so I'm not I'd be complaining too, but that is pretty. Like I think I mentioned this. Like in 2019, it was only the Chiefs and your Cowboys that actually like agree. Part of it, I do think, is what John's saying. You have to be a little creative in how we do this, right? Because the proposals include like how that team wants to do it. I think it has to be like an unbiased like source of what's good for the game and
What if
regardless.
the NFL put out like narrowed it down to 3 different scenarios, and the NFL's like, these are the 3 we can do. Now all 32 teams vote on which one you would want most, and then whichever one gets the most votes will do that.
This can be solved.
It'll never be unanimous. It's never going to be unanimous. There's always going to be one that's just like no.
And right now it's emotional, but I like Jonathan's kind of. I mean, that's pretty convicting if you ask me. If you're if you're a Bills fan complaining about the rules, because the Chiefs are on the other side of it too. So it's more like, all these teams have tried to change it, and it's going to keep being a problem until more and more teams agree. Sadly, I hope. But the NFL is a little archaic in how it does things, a little bureaucratic. So hopefully this is the point where they do. I mean, I would say keep it the same for the regular season. In the postseason, the statistics, the analytics, it's clear favoritism for the winner. So we got to do something. We can be creative in how we do it, but I don't think anyone can look at these stats and scenarios ever since the rule has come about and be like, yeah, that's good football. Like that the coin toss is 90% of the chance of you winning in overtime. I do like Jonathan. I want to give credit to Jonathan's idea of like, how much would it change the fourth quarter for a visiting team that not only do you have to go to the, you have to go to the higher seed, you have to go to their home, but going into the fourth, if you're tying it, like if the higher seed team, not offense or defense, but more whoever is ranked higher, gets the if it goes to overtime, they get the ball first.
Wait, I don't understand that though. Whoever's ranked higher in what?
Like just ranking, like in seating.
Oh yeah, wait, seating or
seating?
I thought Jonathan was saying like
he was saying offense or defensive ranking.
That's what I was saying.
But I want to change it. I'd change it to yards allowed. It's a little interpretive.
So the Bills are ranked number 1 defense right this year.
Right.
They've been number 1 ranked defense for the regular season.
Right.
Okay. So I'm saying their team, heading into this game, they'll know if we went to overtime, we'd get like the defense would get the ball first.
But you have to ask them that. You have to be like, okay, would you want your
offense
out there?
I don't think they could. It's already ranked. Exactly.
Like you're like when they say, oh, the number 1 defense this year is the Bills. So they know when it goes into overtime, oh, they're going to pick the best of both worlds. They're going to pick the best defense and the best offense. And our offense is 3rd best. So then they're going to have to go out with their number 1 defense.
Yeah.
What if there's a team?
I think.
What if there's a team that has the best offense and best defense? So which one goes out first?
That's when they get a choice, I guess. If you're fortunate to have the number 1 defense and number 1 offense,
that's
got to be true.
That's pretty rare.
Okay, you got to take the Bills and Chiefs out of this because it's obviously emotional if you're either fan of those, but take them out of it and what would be true regardless of names, of branding. Like I'd like the idea along those lines, but it's interpretive. Like say a team, if you do yards allowed as a defense, say they allow the most yards, but they're 16-0, like they just keep the defense. It's interpretive what a good defense is. Like ultimately, good offense, good defense. Are you winning games, right? Like you watch the Super Bowl between Eagles and Patriots. Like they gave up so many yards, but the better defense is the one who won you the game. So it's too interpretive. But seeding is along those lines interesting because it changes the dynamic of a team visiting, or if you had a choice. So if you're a home team, you could choose to defer or receive it if it goes into overtime and it's known before.
You're basically saying that by doing
the higher seed gets the choice in overtime.
But then that would kind of be unfair because let's say
you'd have to have the visiting team have the coin toss first. Like there'd be no coin toss in the beginning of the game. They would say, all right, the away team can choose to kick or receive.
But still, that wouldn't really be fair because let's say
it only works now that I think about it. Sorry to interrupt, but I like the premise of it, and maybe there's something there. But it's also banking on the rules staying the same. Like allowing a team to get 90% chance of winning off the coin toss shouldn't be a thing, period. Right? So that's the bigger issue. And I like the seeding thing as a potential like.
The only thing with the seeding is that if a quarterback, let's say Mahomes is the 2nd seed and he gets hurt in week 4 of the NFL season. Now, by the time he gets to playoffs, let's say he's back the first week of playoffs. but technically they're the 7th seed. But now that he's back, they're going to go really far. And then let's say they play the 3rd seed, and then it's like goes to overtime, and it's like, well, Chiefs, sorry, you weren't really ranked good. But they're like, well, we would have been if Mahomes didn't get hurt, but that's not our fault. Well, sorry, the other team gets the ball first and wins.
Well, I mean, that's how it works for everything, though. With the seeding,
the brackets are now, with the seeding now, it's kind of like that, or the other way around.
But look, the 3 road teams won this weekend, so like it's not like if you're at home you're gonna win.
No, not at all.
No. But yeah, it's more. The premise itself might be a little. The problem is that there's a team with a 90% chance who wins the coin toss. We got to get that first and foremost in the playoffs. Like that's just too. I was literally wondering about this because if it's not in like some teams, some people were defending this like it's like, oh, we can never change the rule. Like this has changed in like 2010. I think when Tebow's Broncos won, that was like the first time people were like, is that it? Like they scored a touchdown, that's it? Yeah. This wasn't a rule. This wasn't always a thing. Like it's trying to solve a problem that did exist. Didn't do it that well, but people really didn't care enough. It's just the nature of these things. So we can fix it. I think that's the problem.
So the other side of the coin for AFC is the Cincinnati Bengals. I believe they won 19-16 off a game-winning kick by what do they call him? Money Mac McPherson. Money Mac hits the game-winning field goal. Look, I don't want to say I was right, but that's the only game I picked correct the whole week. And I'm proud of it because I called the Titans so long ago. Jonathan, you called them too, but I don't know if you had them losing this early. But like 4 or 5 weeks, I'm like, I don't want this team making the playoffs because they're a first round bounce. And I'm like, they are going to get bounced first round, no doubt about it. And I don't want them in the playoffs. I'd rather have the Colts. And the Titans lose. Derrick Henry plays like ass. He only has 1 touchdown. He goes down after his first contact. He just didn't look himself. Foreman actually had a better game. He looked way better than Henry. I think they should have kept him in more often.
They kept him in more, yeah.
But so the Bengals win despite giving up 9 sacks. So that is the main storyline going into the Bengals Chiefs, is that the Chiefs are just going to tear up this offensive line and Burrow's going to be running for his life. What are your guys' thoughts on the Bengals and Chiefs, and also the Bengals Titans game?
Yeah, well, I can go. So the Bengals and Chiefs, they've already played each other before, so it was a great shootout. But now I think the Chiefs are going to give the Bengals the respect they deserve. I feel like the Chiefs sort of thought they were going to, just crush them. They didn't care about it too much. But now they're going to give them the respect they deserve. Take them seriously. Watch film. Last time I was in Cincinnati. This time it's in Kansas City. So I think that the dynamics of the game are going to be different. But also everybody now knows that the Bengals O-line is very terrible, and the Chiefs D-line can expose them. And so we'll see what happens. But I think it's going to be a very interesting game.
You got Chiefs. What do you got?
Oh yeah, I have Chiefs. I think Chiefs should win big. They should win this one big, even though it was close last time. They're going to take them seriously now. They're going to win this one big.
Okay. John?
Yeah, I think I agree with Jonathan. I mean, basically the same things. Like Jamar Chase had 266 yards, 3 touchdowns. They're not going to let that happen again. I hope they change. Usually the Chiefs play press man coverage most of the time. I hope they change that, or at least put a safety over Chase. Higgins can do the same thing Chase can, go up and make those big plays. So you're also going to have to watch him. But I think, like Jonathan said, this one's in Kansas City, and the offensive line for the Bengals got exposed. And I agree with Jonathan. I think the Chiefs are going to win this. Not huge, but I think it's going to be close to a 10-point difference. I don't think it's not going to come down to a last-second field goal. It's not going to come down to a last-second touchdown. I think the Chiefs are going to win this pretty comfortably. I'm not saying they're going to win by 20, but I think it's going to be throughout the whole game. We're going to know who the better team is, and the Chiefs will win.
Caleb, don't make it a sweep here. Please pick the Bengals. Joe Shiesty.
Joe Burr.
That's what. I'm going to go with my
Chiefs.
chaos pick.
Yes.
Again, the Bengals.
Yes.
I picked them last game to win, and I'm still I picked them for chaos. I was like, hey, this is the NFL. Anything can happen. And on paper, the Titans probably should have won. And I was just like, yeah, but I got a feeling with these Bengals that they have a chance. And I went with my gut. They were indicators that they could have won, and they won. So, yeah, I think on paper it's certainly an underdog pick, and that's part of the reason why I'm going with them is gut feeling. Okay, I want to see. If anything, this playoffs has shown us is that underdogs have an advantage, if you will, and like maybe Burrow is the kind of quarterback that goes to Arrowhead and absorbs the crowd's energy and channels that into an amazing game, and because he's going to be cool, like he knows the odds are against him, and you think about it, the Bengals defense is pretty good for what they have, and I know they're going up against the Chiefs, but in terms of the receiving core for the Chiefs versus the Bengals, on paper they're not as good, but Uzama, Higgins, Chase, like those guys can be compared to Hill, Hardman, or Kelsey. Like they're not to say they're equated to, but they can be compared to it. So it's almost like when those are the things, and you have to both defenses have to cover at minimum those three guys as well as the run game and other things. It's just going to open up. I think it's going to be a high scoring game, but like it was the last time. But I'm going with the Bengals on this one.
Great pick, Caleb. Great pick.
Thank you.
I'm also going with the Bengals on this one.
But you know the Chiefs will win, but you're just gonna pick Bengals just because.
I don't know.
No, don't say. You're putting words in my mouth. I said I picked
Jonathan.
Bengals.
Jonathan, do they not want to be right?
So
stop. You're resembling.
Caleb made a good point. Joe Burrow, cold-blooded, is not fazed by the shining lights.
You're talking about Mahomes?
Joe Burrow.
Joe burrow his way. He's gonna burrow his way into the Super Bowl. Stupid.
Burrow his way in. I mean, look, I already know Jamar Chase is gonna get locked down, just like what they did the Diggs the other day. They're just gonna put a safety over top.
Yeah.
That young safety. I don't know if Matthews is gonna be back or not, but that young safety. Someone put out some coach's film of the Chiefs game, and that safety was
Thornhill
staring right at Diggs the whole time. And I think on the game tying, or no, it would have been the game winning for the Bills across the middle. He was like in that spot where he caught the pass in the middle, and he's just like staring at Diggs. Didn't even know that Davis was behind him.
Yeah.
So
you're saying big game for Higgins?
So either Higgins, Boyd, possibly. I like the pick of Uzama because he's had a couple big games this season, like big yardage games, and he can definitely do it. It's just not as consistent as you would like a Travis Kelce. That's one of my other worries. Obviously, the O-line is a big worry because you need time in the pocket, and Joe Burrow can't run around. Like if it was Patrick Mahomes Super Bowl running around, Joe Burrow can't do that. So obviously they're going to have to come up with some sort of plan, some screens, some quick slants, something like that. But I hope that they don't go too much into the Burrow and Chase connection and open it to Boyd and Higgins, because from what I saw from the Bills, they're just going to immediately shut down Chase. Like he'll get a couple, maybe 5-yard, 10-yard, but like I think the safety will be over top of him, and there's no way that they're letting him get a one-on-one like they did before, where I think, John, you sent me something, but they went like on a 3rd and 20 or something on the
3rd and 27.
They threw right to Chase one-on-one coverage.
Yeah, they put on 3rd and 27. They had press man coverage. The guy was right up on the line of scrimmage on Chase. And then he went right around him.
You said it. Like that's not going to happen. They're obviously going to change it.
Yeah.
But Boyd and Higgins are some talented wide receivers.
Yeah, they could definitely do it.
Some of the best. I would say
they're really good.
Top 3 receiving core. You'd say Chase, Higgins, and Boyd.
I think it's top 5.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
I might give it top 5. Top 3, I think, is a little too much, but top 5, you could make an argument, especially how well Chase is.
Yeah, and with how young they are, that's pretty impressive. So
yeah, they're only going to get better.
One guy to look out for, Trey Hendrickson. I say it all the time, but he's a great pass rusher, and obviously the Chiefs pass all the time. And Mahomes was doing his man, he steps back, steps into the pocket, and then runs out. Does that he did that like 20 times in the game. Steps back, steps in, and goes out. I think Henderson doesn't let that happen. He might get a couple sacks. That could be an X factor. So I'm rocking with the Bengals. And also, Mr. Chris Evans, Captain America.
Hey.
I'll always be rooting for him.
Always got to root for him.
Yeah, how cool would it be? We have a Super Bowl. Hey, we don't one game at a time.
The title may be changed to AFC champion Chris Evans. But he's got to earn that. He's got to earn it.
One thing I will say for the Bengals, though, before, and then Jonathan, you can go, is like, it felt like to me, Allen kind of had his way with the Bills defense, kind of execute, I guess, constantly converting thirds and fourths. Whereas towards the end of the game, the Chiefs did win it, and they came back and they, outbested the Bills defense, sure. But it felt like the Chiefs kind of depended on some big plays towards the end to bail them out, if you will. So I feel like if Burrow can systematically deconstruct the Chiefs defense, and, that's an advantage, I think, because you can't just depend on the big play. The Chiefs kind of did towards the beginning of the season, and they started to be a little more patient, a little more, conservative, if you will, instead of just always going for the deep ball, because they do have the talent to do that. But once, if they start to rely on that a lot, then it's a bit of a gamble, So I think that's an advantage. It's something I saw Allen do that Mahomes didn't quite have to, because he has Kelsey and Hill, and, the game definitely went their way. But I just felt like towards the end of the fourth, Allen was just picking apart that defense. So if Burrow can do it, it'll be interesting to see if the Chiefs can keep up with the big plays.
Yeah, by the way, to address that last point, Caleb, I don't think Burrow will be able to do it because the Bills defense is too versatile. The reason being, Josh Allen can run, Burrow can't run, and that alone is
that's going to be a big difference.
Exactly, that's a huge difference.
They're going to have to game plan for it. I think they know where their weakness is. They're going to have to game plan, and we'll see how long that lasts. But you got the weapons to do it. Joe Mixon, Chris Evans.
You have the weapons.
When you think about it, how you beat the Chiefs is downfield. We saw Chase do it. We saw Gabriel Davis. You have to get into the secondary because that's their weakest position, with Thornhill in the back end, Sorensen having to come in with Matthew out. That's their weakest position. So they can do it.
Yeah, I think in general, though, the Bengals won't be able to do it because of the coaching. You need coaching experience at this level in the AFC.
They have none.
If you look at the past Super Bowl winners, all their coaches, it's been a great coaching staffs. The Buccaneers, Chiefs, New England, Eagles. Doug Peterson, he was good. I don't know why they fired him, but
he made good decisions.
A lot of people hated that pick in Philly, but before he won, but they were like, "Who is this?" It's not like it's a given, but I know you're saying the past 3 years have been veteran coaching staffs, but that's an interesting point. I won't be mad if the Chiefs, now that now that the Cowboys are out, now that Brady's out and the Eagles aren't competing in it, I can rest. I can enjoy football as a fan.
The first time ever.
Yeah, after weeks of fantasy suffering, and then was hoping my team makes it. Now I can just enjoy it as a fan, and it's much more fun. Because I'm not, but if the Chiefs win, I won't be super mad. As an Eagles fan, I think Reed getting another ring is very worthy of how good of a coach, how much of a legendary coach he is. But then I'm like, hey, Bengals winning, underdog story. I like that. There's no team I wouldn't want. There's no team I outright hate. So it's kind of nice.
This is Mahomes' fourth year starting, and it's his fourth straight AFC championship. Absolutely mental.
Sounds like Rodgers a little bit.
Yeah, but he can actually get past the championship.
Yeah. Well, now he has many. Yeah, although he has as many Super Bowls as Rodgers right now.
Yeah.
Wow, that's sad. Wasted career. On to the 49ers and the Rams. So this one, I came off with this stat. The last game of the season, 49ers played the Rams and they won. 49ers have won 6 straight games against the Rams. They beat them in the last week of the season, most recently, 27-24 in overtime. And the Rams were up 17-0 at one point and ended up blowing the lead in a must-win game, basically playoff game for the 49ers. So, that settles it. 6 straight wins against the Rams. They have figured them out, and this game is all but over.
You don't even need to play
win this game.
Don't even play the game.
No. I mean,
It's not worth
history.
it, really.
History repeats itself
The
6
49ers
times.
are already
Apparently.
in the Super Bowl, basically.
It's going to be a rematch, 49ers. And
The only thing is, the other 6 times that these teams played, it was never in the playoffs. It was always regular season.
doesn't matter.
So
what do you mean? It
So
doesn't
Jared,
matter?
is your pick 49ers?
Yeah, my pick's going to be the 49ers. A couple of things. Debo and Trent Williams are both injured right now, and they're getting tested and whatnot. If Debo doesn't play, I'm obviously not taking the 49ers.
He practiced today, so he's good.
So as long as Debo plays, Jimmy G obviously has surprised me. I said that he should be gone from the 49ers. I was definitely wrong about that. So 49ers over the Rams. The Rams have all the talent in the world, but they just can't beat them coaching wise. The 49ers just absolutely live in the Rams coaching heads rent free, and it sucks, but how it goes. Sometimes you just can't get over that hump. Like those Chiefs just can't get over the hump. So 49ers. Jonathan?
I'm gonna pick the Rams. I think the Rams, look, in the playoffs, some teams just look different. The Chiefs have looked different. The Rams are one of those teams that just look different. They look more dominant. Their defense looks really good. They started to blow lead last game, but I think it was a big momentum shift. When Cooper Kupp fumbled, that's just what happens in sports. Momentum can change a game. But I think Rams are the dominant team in that game, and I think they'll carry that forward against the 49ers. And look, I've said this many times. It's hard to beat a team like twice in 1 year. I know they're divisional opponents, but this next time, I don't think the Rams. I don't think Sean McVay is going to lose this one.
It's not only twice, but it's 6 times. So 3 straight seasons.
Yeah, but this season though, I think is different.
That's what they said last time, though.
I can just tell when you watch the film. You're looking at both teams. 49ers are good. Don't get me wrong. I like the team. I like Debo and Trent Williams, but from looking at both teams, watching the film and watching the full games, the Rams are going to win. The Rams should win.
The 49ers just went into Green Bay and beat Green Bay. And the Rams,
well, I honestly, we all know that was baloney, bro. Green Bay should win. We all know Green Bay should have won. Like that special teams person, like the punter, special teams lost in the league.
32nd special teams rank. They have the worst special teams, and they exploited it. What can you say?
Yeah, it's like annoying. If I was Aaron Rodgers, I'm surprised Aaron Rodgers didn't call his guys. I'd be annoyed because they lost in the game.
Jonathan, is he gone from Green Bay? Is he gone? Just quick one word. Is he gone? Aaron Rodgers gone from Green Bay? You want me to?
What?
You don't want to answer?
Can I answer?
Yeah, I want you to answer.
You were just looking at him.
He's asking you a question, but he doesn't want an answer.
It's not rhetorical.
No, I thought you were talking to John.
Oh no.
Okay.
Jonathan, you were just staring at him. I'm like,
yeah, I was waiting for John. I thought you were talking to John.
Why is this personal to you? Like you're looking at him like.
Oh, okay. No. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is gone.
Yes, he's gone. It's already over. He's gone.
Yeah.
No. The whole organization wants him.
No,
he's not
gone.
Where else is he gonna go? Like he didn't have a choice.
Saint.
Plenty,
but
where else is he gonna go?
He said
Broncos.
no. It's fine. Well, another day.
Broncos.
One word.
What about Jeopardy? Why can't he go to Jeopardy?
49ers.
All right.
No.
All right, hang on. I just find one word. That's
Jared,
it. All right, John,
Jared, you can't expect us to follow those rules.
I just want one word. All right.
What are your thoughts on the game?
49ers Rams, John.
The Rams are going to win this game. I agree with what Jonathan said. You could just tell by looking at the Rams. They're different this year. They're different in the playoffs. And Stafford really impressed me.
But they've already lost twice to them.
With 30 seconds left, I was like, oh my gosh, Rams, what are you doing? You have no momentum. You should just need this and go to overtime. And then he goes twice to Cooper Kupp. Like he wants to win this game. The Rams are going to be at home. They were up 17-0 at half last time they played this team. They're not going to do it again. They're not going to lose again.
Did you see the 49ers Rams game in the last game of the season? It was like 60% 49ers fans.
Yeah.
That's going to be a home game for the 49ers.
No,
How
it
much-
doesn't. It
Oh,
doesn't matter.
Didn't they
It's
change some
just
tickets? Didn't they like mess with the tickets or something where mostly Rams people that live in, or mostly LA people that live in the area can get in the game? Y'all saw that?
If you're
Yeah, I saw
verified. Interesting.
That's pretty
I mean-
embarrassing if you got to do that.
Well,
I mean, a little bit, but
That's what the
Yeah.
Chargers have to do. They're like,
yeah, they
we're not
should.
letting any visiting fans in. There'll probably be like 10 people in the 300 row.
I feel like California is the one state where there's like so many fans from so many different teams.
True. Even
Yep.
a lot of Raiders fans, right? Out there.
Yeah. But
Still?
anyway, I think Rams are going to win the game. So I think it's going to be Chiefs Rams Super Bowl.
I'll
Caleb,
say
help me out here.
I'm a little torn because we've talked about Garoppolo. Like Garoppolo's been to a Super Bowl against Mahomes. Like he's not a flashy player. We've talked about him, but he wins games. And it's kind of like the 49ers have continually stumbled this far into the playoffs that it's not. I could see there's between those two teams. I could see them playing. That defense is so good. They have some star players. Garoppolo is good enough to win you games, and the injury isn't great for him. I also think that like the biggest question mark for me is Garoppolo, like what kind of game he is, because some days he's great, other days not as steady, but he's not as turbulent as we kind of credit to him because they've won. But then you look at some of those past games where it's part of they were consistently letting the other team continue to compete. Like I think the 49ers kept giving the Cowboys chances. Against the Bucks, they gave up not the Bucks, but like they just kept making mistakes, the 49ers. So but they keep winning. So it's like I think Garoppolo is consistent enough. The X factor for me is the Rams. When the Rams are playing the Bucks last weekend, in my mind, I was thinking when they got the ball back, I'm like, that's too much time for Stafford. Like I know we think about that like with Brady, like it's obvious, but I think I saw a stat and it's something incredible already in the career wise. Of all time, Brady's got the most fourth quarter comebacks, and I think it's then Roethlisberger. Then third is Stafford of all time. But I think since Stafford has entered the league, no one has more fourth quarter comebacks than he does. So talking about clutch.
Well, I told you Stafford has the best fourth quarter QBR of any QB in the NFL this season. So,
and I respect them for not kneeling it. Like you win it there and there, because the when you're going against Brady, you play your game, A. And then B, it just felt like everyone knows you're going against Brady. You know he does this. You already come back, but you got to be that. You got to be a gunslinger. You got to outgun him, and that's what Stafford did. And like I have confidence that as steady as Garoppolo can be, Stafford can maybe elevate the Rams further. And I think part of that was like if you guys watched the Rams come back in the Bucs Stadium when they got into field goal range, and Stafford was like yelling at his whole team to hurry up, spike the ball. And like how much passion in his face as he's yelling at his team to win because he was like that ruthless, like winning mentality to when they spike it, he's like yelling at the fans and the opposing fans. Like he is so hyped to have done that and get his team a chance. That's the kind of energy you see in those guys. And Stafford has in his first season with the Rams gotten as far. So it's like, I think.
Who's your pick?
Again, I don't have a dog in this fight, so I won't be mad if either one's, but I'm gonna go with the fun pick. I'm gonna go with the Rams.
Oh, Jared, you're left
But I
on
like
an
Stafford
island.
that much. I could see the 49ers winning. It'd be cool. I'll tell you what I don't want because I don't have a dog in this fight, but I wouldn't want to see the Chiefs 49ers again. I just wouldn't want that.
The Chiefs want that. I can tell you the Chiefs
I think
want
the
the
Chiefs want
49ers.
that. Yeah,
Yeah,
the Chiefs would want that. Because
The thing is, I think it would be fun because the last time we saw Chiefs Rams, remember it was 54-51. So people
that'd
want
be
to
fun.
see that.
Imagine
That
Bengals
could be a
49ers.
possibility.
Bengals 49ers Super Bowl. Wouldn't that be like if you did that
That
in
would
Madden?
be the most insane thing I've ever
if
seen.
if you did
That'd
that
probably
in Madden,
that'd be
10
kind of
years
boring,
ago,
right?
That would be so boring.
Boring.
It'd be interesting because both teams could be so sloppy that you get some craziness. But think about it, in Madden 10 years ago, something like that. Both teams have been so overall ranked so low that to be in the Super Bowl is incredible. Because both teams were so bad for so long. So I don't
The
know.
thing is, the 49ers, you guys know this, like once you beat a team multiple times, the other team actually is like underdogs. Like I know the Rams are favored in this game and they're at home, but in the Rams and 49ers heads, like the 49ers have more to lose The Rams are like, okay, we haven't beat this team. They're going to be extra, like fighting extra hard. The 49ers actually have more pressure on themselves because they're like, oh my gosh, we've beaten this team 6 times. Like we could probably win again. But you don't want to think that.
And they only played each other once in the regular season?
Twice.
Okay. And because I know the second one, I was going to ask, how important was that game?
That was the 49ers had to win to get into the playoffs.
But the Rams were already in?
Yeah, they were already in.
Well, they were maybe going for the first.
If the Cardinals had won their game, then the Rams would have had to win to keep that the fourth spot. But if the Cardinals lost, then it doesn't matter if the Rams win or lose, they still keep that divisional win. But they're lucky that the Cardinals blew it and lost, because then the Cardinals would have had home field advantage.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, first round buys have kind of been a disadvantage this year. A little bit.
Yeah.
Except for the Chiefs, but yeah.
Neither number 1 seed is going to be in it, which I don't know when the last time that happened. But, Burrow isn't that bad. When you think about just a mere 3 years ago, we had Case Keenum, Nick Foles, and Blake Bortles and Tom Brady.
Imagine if it was Case Keenum versus Blake Bortles. I wouldn't have watched.
You would have boycotted. I'm not.
No. This. At least, if we have Burrow versus Garoppolo, that's way better than Bortles and Keenum.
Yeah. All I'm saying is, 6 straight. I don't know.
I wouldn't be surprised. At this point, anyone could win.
Any given Saturday / Sunday.
So, Jared, you think it's going to be Bengals 49ers. Jonathan and I think it's going to be Chiefs Rams. One different from each of us.
I will say Caleb still has the best bracket. He did have the 49ers going all the way to the NFC Championship, but that's as far as they go. They lost to the Eagles. The Eagles almost made it, but he was just a little off.
Man, I was kind of close.
You did pick the Packers to get upset. If that's any points.
Yeah.
I may change my Rams and 49ers pick near the game.
Oh,
no.
For the fans, Jonathan, you got to let them know in stone on this podcast what you believe.
Yeah.
Jonathan, you could switch if you want now, so then I'll be the only one right.
If you're wrong now, well, the
Rams are the better team, but
I'd say that they're overall better.
Yeah, maybe I think 49ers might win. Maybe one of you should change.
I'm kind of up in the air still about the Rams 49ers.
Well,
I'll let you guys know.
Like 30 seconds to decide.
49ers defense might be better overall, honestly.
The Rams defense is better for sure, but
it's tough. It's tough. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I could see it going either way. I'm just gonna go with the fun pick. I'm just going with the Rams.
Well, I hope that this week's games are just as good, just as fun, just as close, suspenseful as last week's, as that would be an absolute treat. But we're going to wrap up this episode of the Dorm Debate podcast. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Make sure you subscribe and hit the like button and comment down below your picks for the AFC and NFC Championship. Make sure you go follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Dorm Debate Podcast. And we will see you guys next week.